All right, it may seem crazy, but first responders in northern Kentucky say they are often unable to communicate on their radios with 911 or even with each other.
Chief Investigative Reporter Craig Cheatham examines the dangers that represents or presents to firefighters and police.
911, can I help you?
The officers out here doing traffic stops or serving warrants, arresting people and unable to talk to 911.
All right, we'll get somebody started that way.
If you don't have communication, if you have an emergency, people don't know you're in trouble. So it's an obvious problem.
Are there any weapons in the house?
Is this any way to run an emergency communications network?
Not at all. But we do the best we can.
That's how emergency response experts here in northern Kentucky describe the communications networks that police officers, firefighters, and 911 operators use to communicate with each other. Those systems, according to first responders, have so many dead zones that it puts them and the public at greater risk.
81, we're making entry. Can you hold the channel, please?
In January of last year, a Covington police officer's body camera recorded the search for an alleged gunman in the Providence Pavilion nursing home.
Hands, man, hands. He's running, he's running.
Police say suspect Luke Gamble ran from officers after he allegedly held a young boy while threatening to shoot employees.
Somebody take that corner, I got this one.
A 2015 consultants report, paid for by Kenton County, revealed most buildings in the county have poor radio reception, making it difficult and at times impossible for officers to talk with 911 or even other first responders outside the buildings.
Out through the door! Tell Jimmy he's coming to him! Tell Jimmy!
In last year's nursing home incident, one officer was apparently unable to speak directly to another officer so he could warn him the suspect was on the way.
He handed the kid off to one of the girls here.
Police arrested Gamble, who was charged in the case. He's back in jail on a parole violation.
He is in custody. The child is safe.
Covington Police Chief Robert Nader told the I-Team he couldn't remember the specific communication problem, but he emphasized that officers are made aware of these issues during first-year field training, and they prepare for it.
And often they get into houses, it's a normal-sized house, and they just can't even hear their partners outside the house.
Ludlow Police Chief Scott Smith told the I-Team radio reception in his community is even worse.
My response to anybody that says that there's not a critical enough need is there never is until something goes horribly wrong.
No, he's in custody. You don't have to do it. Everything's good.
Yeah, sure.
I wouldn't lie to you, baby.
The fire was contained to the mechanical room.
Last month, Covington firefighters responded to a fire in the 16-story Golden Towers apartment building. Covington Battalion Chief Micah Foster said first responders were unable to communicate effectively on their portable radios.
In this case, we were lucky. The sprinklers worked. It put the fire out before we got there.
The I-Team rode with Covington firefighters recently on 2 calls.
In the station, did not come across our portable radios,
where they told us they couldn't use their mobile radios to communicate directly with 911.
It was all static to them on the dispatch. They didn't hear it. It can create a big problem.
Boone County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
For many years, Campbell and Boone counties have experienced similar problems.
It's nerve-wracking already. When you don't have that communication back and forth, it's even worse, because if they are trying to call out for help, then you can't get it to them because you don't know.
Nate Hargett, a 911 shift supervisor for Boone County, says he recently tried to communicate with an officer on I-71 who was pursuing a suspect believed to have a gun.
I couldn't understand what he was telling me. We had to kind of rely on almost a system where he would say something to an officer that was a little bit closer to him. That officer would repeat it to another officer, and then I could hear that officer.
The same 2015 consultants report, paid for by Kenton County, noted that failures are becoming more frequent in the outdated system and that outages are common during rain events. Early last year, the 3 counties agreed to build a combined $20 million emergency communication system that will significantly improve coverage and eliminate dozens of dead zones in buildings. It's expected to be finished within a year.
We're looking for the new system. It's going to take care, it's going to have resiliency, redundancy, all these things that are lacking, we're going to be able to go and make happen with the new system.
Tommy Thompson, the executive director of emergency communications for Kenton County, asked the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security to pay for hundreds of portable radios for first responders to ease the financial burden of the new system on local communities. But Homeland Security rejected the $1.4 million grant request, then turned down a second request for less than half that.
You don't know why you were denied?
No.
In an email, Mike Sunseri, the state's Homeland Security Deputy Executive Director, declined to be interviewed and refused to explain why the office didn't approve either of Kenton County's requests.
They're telling cities that they're going to have to pay for it themselves, and often the money just isn't there.
Ludlow Police Chief Scott Smith says portable radios for the new communications system will cost his small department about $90,000, nearly the entire operations budget for a year.
It's a big hit to the Ludlow community.
That's the effect. The cause is a 90% cut in funding for the Homeland Security Grant Program. In 2005, Kentucky awarded $23 million to local communities. Last year, it provided $2.8 million.
The money isn't there.
Craig Cheatham.
911, can I help you?
9 on your side.
By the way, you can read more about our investigation right now on WCPO.com and our Facebook page.